Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Huts Gaming F1 League Season 4 on F1 2023. Apologies for the rather late start. We've been delayed by 7 minutes because Pokey, one of our drivers, I don't know, he was out getting a drink, I think, and has only just come back home. Hasn't got any practice in, so he's finally just started his computer, and we're finally getting into things. So, round 9 of the season. We missed last week because of, reasons. I had to go to work, which isn't fun. And next week I'm not going to be available either, but that's not because I'm going to work, it's because I'm going to stay at my mum's. So, yeah, you're getting maybe someone else can cover for me instead. So, leading the championship as of the beginning of round 9, TomTom still leading the way, 161 points to Jordan, who in P2 has 119. They're the only real championship protagonists because Gladius in third place only has 84, which is a good 30 points behind. And it's more or less the same way in the, the team championship. The constructors, Aston Martin leading the way with a 212, to McLaren with 164. Now, it's a rather wet Silverstone. What is going on? Why is that not working? There we go. It's finally decided to realise that there is indeed a stream going on. And we've got some weird things. There we go. Controller being weird again. It's not about to change anytime soon, but something that will hopefully change in the next 3-4 weeks. Yeah, look at the graphics of this game. Not looking great with my computer, is it? But one day, hopefully in the next 3 or 4 weeks, if I'm lucky, 2 weeks. If I'm really lucky, next week. But yeah, getting a new one, boys. It's finally happening. It's gonna have an RTX 4070. I wanted a 3080, but they didn't have it available. So 4070 is what I'm getting instead. Not heard great things about the 40 series, but well, getting a bit of a tank slapper there. But yeah, hopefully it will work reasonably well. And if the 4070 lets me down, I'll maybe look at getting something else like an AMD. I've heard that AMD is actually doing reasonably well, but I don't really have any comparisons with AMD cards. Like they've got all these other numbers and a little harder to understand than me, who's been an Nvidia person since since I got this PC back in 2018. So Montreal in this AlphaTauri is the first man to start a flying lap. Oh look, it's Daniel Ricciardo. Oh wait, no it's not. It's just the default number is still the number 3, even though Daniel Ricciardo's in the game now. So you can have 2 number 3s in the same race. Yeah. Whoa, that's really not a lot of traction coming out of Village there. Not nice at all. I'm wondering if that's just a setup problem, or if it's a skill issue, or if it's really just that treacherous. Gladius is on a flying lap as well. Third place man in the championship. He doesn't look like he's having as many problems. Someone who is having a problem is, I think that's a Haas right there. Indeed it is. No idea which one it is. They don't put the names on top of the car anymore for some reason. It could be Reese, it could be Groffel. It was Groffel who had the issues. So, Gladius going through Woodcut. Don't know what the sector times are like. Meanwhile, Montreal has invalidated his lap time here. Reese then will be the first man to set the benchmark. 1:14.0 through Sector 2 in these treacherous conditions. It's average English weather. Fortunately, it's not the weather that's happening in the real world right now, but in the game, yeah, this is what you're going to contend with. Monsoon conditions, practically. Through the final corners, Farm, I believe it's called. Oh, Vale? I don't know. 1:42.3 is the benchmark, the time to beat. Sherlock, reserve driver for Mercedes. Oh, 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds off, actually. Next up, where's Gladius? Oh, he's getting a bit of a tank slapper, trying to Tokyo drift round the final bend. 1:42.1, immediately beaten by Bengal with a 1:41.9. Tom on an outlap, which means the Brains, who is also reserve driver today for Aston Martin, went 4th. Now, Mr. Mouse goes P1, an astonishing 1.3 seconds faster than Bengal. Sork has just gone P6, just as I was about to switch to him. Adrian through Brooklands. I can never remember some of these corner names. Oh, that car in front is getting a bit wobbly. That's a Mercedes. It's the Mercedes, rather. It is Sherlock getting a bit out of shape on the exit of Woodcut, and Adrian also getting a little out of shape on the exit of Cops. Through Maggots and Beckett now. Keep it together. Nice and slow. Can't do 130 miles an hour through here like you could in 2020. In monsters like the W11. Which is the only Mercedes that deserves any sort of respect. Except maybe the ones from 1950s, but yeah. W196. Though even then that was just BS, because it was basically a Le Mans car. The wheels were covered. Oh, look at the lack of traction that Adrian has. 1:39.1. Blitzing the time by Mr. Mouse. That's, what, 1.5 seconds now? Yes, indeed it is. Oh, we've had a retirement. Who's lost out here is, let's see. It's not the right car. There's a different car. No, I don't know. J Sobron GT, I will imagine he's just lost control of his car on the, well, going through Woodcut. It's a very strange place to lose control. Where's Tom going through Stowe? Also finding it very difficult to handle the conditions. Final corners now. And he's still struggling with traction. It really is just that bad. It's almost drifting across the line. Oh dear. Only P5, but that should be able to improve. Meanwhile, there's been a spin for one of the... Yeah, look who it is. It's Pookie. He's not had any practice, but probably wouldn't have mattered anyway, because practice would have been in the dry, I would imagine. And now it's just completely wet. Nasty weather, indeed. Surtee coming through this first sector. Who's next across the line? Caster, maybe? Coming through Maggots and Beckett's right now. There's a car off. That's a Ferrari. Is that Bengal or Sork? It is Bengal who's gone off. This is Sork we're on board with right now. He's invalidated, so he won't be improving that 1:42.3 as of yet. Mr. Mouse has improved himself. He's gone up to 1:39.787, but that is still quite a ways off of, what's his name? Adrian. Caster has now just put his Williams into P3. Let's see, who else is going to be next to McLarens, not McLarens, Ferraris rather. Fusion on another lap, gone a little bit deep into Vale. Now, TomTom moves up a place as well, up to 4th now. Fusion up to 5th, as everyone's gradually getting a hang of the conditions. I think that's Angel just about to cross the line. He has just gone P8. Sherlock on an outlap. Oh, still struggling with the conditions. Groffel has invalidated. What about Reese? He's down. He's not improving. He's coming into the pits, actually. Domchi has invalidated. Gladius has not, but he's down, and he's coming into the pits anyway. Adrian in the pits. Where's Pookie? He's on a flying lap. He's doing much better this time around. He did get a banker in the 2:02.4, but that's more of a Spa time. 1:43.6, not great. But that's without a lot of practice, as Jordan has now put his McLaren into P2. Montreal has been struggling to get a lap on the board, and he's still struggling with traction. I wonder if he's trying to use a dry setup. Groffel getting in the way of Jordan. TomTom into the pits. Fusion having a little bit of a battle with Brains. He's on his outlap. Fusion's on an in-lap, I would imagine. Angel might be on a flying lap here. Comes through Stowe. Where is he going? He's going into the pits. Okay then. Brains. Sork is having a moment through the first sector. He's actually got the Ferrari livery. How do you get that? Don't tell me you've got to play F1 World for it. I really hate that they're locking off some of these liveries behind... In fact, actually, is that even in the F1 World? Is it... It might just be the sort of default livery for now? I mean, it might be it, actually. But yeah, that does appear to be how it is. It will probably be released to everyone in general eventually, but yeah. That's something that really irritates me. Like, hardly anyone plays F1 World. I certainly don't touch it, really. And they decide the McLaren Triple Crown livery was locked behind that, meaning, well, I didn't get my hands on it. As we watch Montreal having another moment through the final corners. Why is he struggling so much? He's not even able to make slight turns without his car just losing the back end. I wonder if he has gone for a low downforce dry setup here. Very odd if he has. That's really not what you should be doing. Outlaps for the two Alpines. Doing much better in the game than they have been in real life. Pookie, meanwhile, has had essentially matched his first sector. That has not invalidated his second sector. Going wide at Cops. There has been a spin behind, though. Is that Groffel? It is. He's tried to pull a Max Verstappen. Pookie, meanwhile, has matched his sector too. He is not improving. So he has it all to play for in the final sector here. Can he pull back a few tenths? He's got 3 tenths to Brains in front and he's coming in. So maybe he was just on an in-lap, maybe? Wetting the whistle. 30 hasn't come out, so I'm wondering. I don't think he has a qualifying ban. I mean, he might do. You know, I'm gonna check that actually. FIA statements. 30. hasn't even picked up any penalty points. So he has not got a quali ban. He's just not coming out. Who could tell me what's going on with Surtees? Bengal, meanwhile, has just begun a lap, and it looks like conditions are improving because Bengal is trying his luck on inters. In fact, a few drivers have switched to inters now. Adrian looking to improve his 139.1. Jordan as well. Tom only P5. Behind, I think, is that a Williams or an Alpine? In fact, it has to be an Alpine. Gladius is on a flying lap on the inters, and he was up by about a second over his previous best. Into Stowe now. The car does look a little bit more planted than before. Vale nicely does it. Easy on the throttle. Definitely seems a bit more planted across the line, and yeah, immediately obvious, evident that it is now intermediate weather. So Adrian looking to improve. If Gladius was able to improve to 138.4, which was a good second and a half quicker than his previous best, what can Adrian do? He could potentially go into the 137s if he can hook up the lap. With 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, that's more than enough time for one lap, but it might not be enough for a cooldown lap. So this might be Adrian's final attempt here. In fact, it's almost certainly his final attempt. Unless he will have enough battery left. There's a car going slowly on the apex of Woodcut. Who was that? That is a Williams and Alpine, and that's Gladius. Going very slowly. He'd already put in his lap anyway. And Surtees has come out. He's waited for the intermediate weather. Adrian, meanwhile, through Beckett, and he's up by a second, but not by a huge amount. Not as much as Gladius was. Into Stowe. Little flags briefly as Adrian gets a bit of wheel spin on the exit of Stowe. Through the Vale chicane now. It's just on the final run to the finishing line as Tom went 137.6, immediately pipped to the post by Adrian with a 137.296. Who else is behind? Anyone else? We've got Bengal up by 1.1, could put himself into the 138s. Is into the 138s. Few cars coming through now as Gladius probably going for another attempt. Domchi following Sork. I think Sork has just started. Yeah, that Sork has just begun a lap, I think. So Domchi 139.2. I think he's just started his lap as well. We're not getting all the proper information. Mr. Mouse into P3 now. But then immediately picked by Surtees. It's getting quite chaotic now. Pookie about to cross the line. He's up by 1.3 seconds. The session has now ended, so Pookie improves by 2.5 seconds. He's into P10. Meanwhile, there's a Haas behind. That's Reese is still going for it on the wet tyres, but it's not the right weather anymore. Groffel into P11. Montreal being hurried along by Adrian. Oh no, that's gone desperately wrong. Adrian still manages to improve, but Montreal. What is this guy doing? He's just been sliding and drifting through every single corner. He's lucky that Adrian had already finished his lap, basically. Meanwhile, 30 isn't improving, Mr. Mouse isn't going to improve, Caster could potentially steal pole here. A few cars coming across the line, including Sork and Bengal. Don't think they're going to improve though. What about the Williams? Final corner now. Oh no, he's getting a tag slapper. It's gone wrong. He was on track to improve, but he lost it all in the final corner. Level Fusion moves up to P4, right behind TomTom, sharing the second row. So there we go. That is the what's it called? The grid set for the Grand Prix. Adrian takes pole from Jordan on the Jordan sharing the front row. TomTom and Level Fusion are on the second row. Surty and Mr. Mouse on the third row. Caster and Donchi on the fourth row, and Gladius and Angel the fifth row. Nicely done indeed. Seems that TomTom just struggled with the weather, and look at the gap between Adrian and Jordan. I think the lap that that Adrian had before his final lap. Let's see. Yeah, what would have been good enough had the crash happened earlier, but yeah, that crash definitely stops him from improving by a huge amount. Montreal only got 3 laps on the board. 141.2, his best result, and still only enough for 18th. Well, that's qualifying, so let's see how things are for the race. Much drier. Hardly a cloud in the sky, except for a contrail from a plane. Or as conspiracy theorists would say, it's a chemtrail. They're brainwashing everyone with mercury hydroxide or whatever the hell they think is being put into the planes. Oh dear. Just waiting for everyone to choose their setups. I mean, I think their setups are already fixed anyway, so they've got to make some adjustments. I wonder if they've chosen dry setups and used them during the wet qualifying, which could be why Montreal was... In fact, that's why I imagined that Montreal was struggling so much that he was using a dry setup, but we're about to get underway. 5 red lights for Huts Gaming F1 League here at Silverstone. It's lights out and away we go, and might be a jump start for Caster, who's into the lead immediately. And he has a penalty. I think Surtees got a penalty as well. That could be jump starts for the pair of them. We shall bring up that data, and it is indeed drive-through penalties for Caster and Surtee. There's a lot of things going on down the field. Jordan defending from TomTom already. Oh no, we've got that F122 glitch back, but that should go away with the new PC when that arrives. Caster already down into P2 despite... Oh no, we've had a crash already. Domchi off. I think he's come together with Pookie potentially. And we have a virtual safety car. So Caster and Surtee messed up the start. Got going before the lights went out. And now they've got drive-thrus to contend with. They'll have to serve those within about 3 laps. I don't think you can do that under a virtual safety car, though. So TomTom championship leader right behind his nearest rival, Jordan, as racing, I thought, was about to get back underway. Neither of those of the two drivers of the drive-thrus are going to come in. As I said, pretty sure that you can't serve a drive-thru penalty under virtual safety car conditions. Brains into the pits. I imagine that he was probably involved in that collision as well. That took out Domchi. And it looks like he's going to have to put it. Yes, indeed. New front wing for the Aston Martin. Oh dear. Things might be about to get back underway. In fact, they are. Virtual safety car has ended. Adrian with a 7/10 advantage over Jordan, as Caster is almost being dispatched by TomTom here, forcing the Aston Martin to go the long way around Brooklands. Meanwhile, Surtees has had a spin or something. He's down into 17th now. Something has gone wrong for the McLaren, even more wrong than the drive-thru he's picked up. He's got to be kicking himself for that. Jordan almost a second behind Adrian already, but on the straights he's able to claw back a few hundredths, maybe a tenth or two. More yellow flags. Sir, something seems to be wrong with... Oh no, it wasn't Surtees this time, it was Sobron GT, who we barely saw anything of in qualifying, thanks to a spin and a crash. Anyone coming in to serve their penalty yet? Caster staying out. He is going to have to come in. Surtees has decided he's going to serve his penalty now, as Caster now loses a position to Fusion. And he's about to lose another one to Mr. Mouse. Oh, sounds like he's from a Mr. Men book, but he's not. This is Mr. Mouse. I assure you, he's not a 188-ton super heavy tank. Oh, a little bit of a lag spike. Mr. Mouse trying to get up the inside of the Williams. It's going to turn into the outside of Village, Brooklands, whatever it's called. I can never remember the name of that corner. And Surtees comes out of the pits ahead of Brains. 17th out of 18 runners now. Oh dear. Caster is going to have to serve his drive-thru on this lap. Otherwise he'll be disqualified, I think. Top three. The gap has closed up a bit. It shrunk. TomTom getting closer to Jordan, who I think was fiddling with his DRS there. McLaren looked like it was opening and closing its DRS as Caster comes in to serve his drive-thru. Meanwhile, Gladius making a move on Mr. Mouse through Vale. Can he make it stick? Through Farm. No, he can't just yet, as TomTom has just put in the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. Through turn 1, Abbey Corner used to be a left-hander long ago, now it's a right-hander. Can Gladius? No, he can't make the dive bomb up through the Village section. I've called 3 different corners on this track Village, and I can never remember which one is the right one. Gladius under threat from Bengal in that hypercar livery. And that's Mr. Mouse, I think. Well, that's Gladius trying to... I can't remember who was in front. Who was in front at first? I don't remember. Either way, these two battling for 5th position. Gladius looks like he has 5th place for now. He does. Ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Just about within DRS range of Fusion, who is 2.6 seconds adrift of TomTom. Oh, there's been a spin for Caster. No, sorry, it's Sobron GT, rather. 2 Williams in the position that I've been used to seeing them in real life. Oh dear, he's all gone wrong. Meanwhile, Adrian's lead is not quite so comfortable as it was a few laps ago. He now has the 2 championship protagonists for company. right up his backside. Jordan within 3/10 of Adrian, and TomTom about 3/10 behind him too. Into the village section we go once again. It's DRS for the McLaren and the Aston Martin. It's a very similar situation to what we saw in the Italian Grand Prix earlier today, as I don't think Jordan was even using his DRS. He certainly had it, he just opted not to use it. I suppose it's just not the greatest place to overtake on this track. Usually tend to go for the hanger straight. There's been another spin for Sobron at the final corner. Things not looking comfortable at all for Adrian. Meanwhile, let's look at the tyres. Something we should have been looking at earlier, but we've got majority of the drivers on hard tyres. TomTom has a much better run out of Beckett's. Can he make the move around to the outside of Stowe? He's gonna try and make it. Can he go for it? He's made it stick. What a move. Round the outside. Not quite the same move, the epic move we saw from, who was it? On F1 22. Got shared to the Discord actually kind of recently. I think it was Angel maybe. Made the move up the inside. That was one hell of a move. So TomTom, ahead of his championship rival, now looking to try and get past the race leader. I think it's only a matter of time. Look at the overspeed he's got. He goes up the inside at Brooklands. And it's really no question, is it? TomTom into the lead once again, and now he can start trying to make some space behind him. Though that's going to be a little bit difficult, because after these few corners, in fact, he's not had the best run through Copse. Can Adrian retake the position from the Aston Martin? No, he has to back off before they go into Maggots and Beckett's, who cannot go too wide through that. And now he'll get the DRS for the hanger straight. And now the position returns to Adrian. You really need to wait until Stowe corner to make your overtakes here, as TomTom has just found out. You make the move at Brooklands, it's not as easy to lose the driver behind as it is through this section here. Very difficult track to maintain your position on, at least in the games. Meanwhile, we've got a yellow flag. We've had Montreal having a spin as Level Fusion and Mr. Mouse having a fight for P5. I think Mr. Mouse got dropped by Gladius a bit. Fell back behind Level Fusion briefly, but now back into P5 and having a bit of a fight with the AlphaTauri and the Ferrari, the two Italian cars on the grid. There's also a bit of a fight behind with Pookie and Angel, the other Alfa Romeo, who's got 6 seconds worth of penalties now. Through Beckett's they go. DRS for the AlphaTauri, not a huge amount of energy. Had to lift off a little bit, because that move was just not going to work. Didn't have the right amount of speed. Is he going to make the dive bomb? No, he does not. Meanwhile, Bengal quite happy to stay behind for now, see how things pan out in front, but obviously wanting to try and take those positions if he can. His teammate Sork, 4.3 seconds down the road, in a bit of no man's land himself. Meanwhile, Angel has Pookie for company. What can our old friend Hutt's champion for Season 2, if I remember correctly. was it season 1? One of the seasons, anyway. Pookie not got a huge amount of traction. I think Bengal tried to make a move, and it's not gone right. And now he's behind his teammate. He's lost a good few seconds there. Oh dear. Sork, though, looks like he's letting his teammate back past. It's not something I would do. Let's see. Things still hot at the front. Jordan gradually being dropped as TomTom now taking my advice and going up the inside at Stowe. That was getting very close up the rear end with Adrian. But now TomTom has the lead of the race again. Can he hold on to it? He has to try and pick up another 0.6 of a second to get Adrian outside of the DRS zone, but it's not going to be enough time. Certainly not enough time, as we've had another spin for Caster.
Spinning through Beckett's.
DRS for Adrian once again down the Wellington straight. Jordan has got a little bit closer. Seems that he's got a good car through some of these corners, and maybe not so good down the straights. As there's about 0.5 separating the top 3 drivers. There's been a spin for Montreal again. On the exit of Stowe. DRS zone approaching again with Maggot and Beckett. Jordan once again being dropped through this latter half of the second sector. And now Adrian has the DRS on TomTom. Yellow flags though, they're going to have to go slow. They can't overtake just yet. Did he make the move just before the overtaking zone? I think he did. And that's Sobron GT just ahead, who's about to get lapped. Oh dear. Meanwhile, Angel and Pookie having one hell of a scrap here. And Pookie managing to take P9 from Angel for now. Can Angel stick it up the inside? Well, outside, turn it into the inside. Could not on this occasion. And there's Reese behind as well as Fusion into the pits. First of the front runners to do so. He's going to swap his mediums for hard tyres. Sherlock picks up a penalty now. Oh dear. And Angel still having this scrap with Pookie. Tried to make the move, couldn't make it stick through the village section. Got the DRS down the Wellington straight now. That's just serving to make sure he stays close to the Red Bull here. Need to wet my whistle. We'll go back to the front 3 leaders for now. Down the hangar straight, and TomTom not using his rear wing. Oh no, yeah, he was. It just hadn't rendered properly, I don't think. And he goes up the inside of Stowe again. Can he make it stick? I think he has. Yes, indeed he has. Some of these camera angles are just completely useless. Oh, there's been something going on. What is that? There's a car gone off. That is Sobron GT. Right at the back of the field, who's gone off. He's gone very deep into Vale. It's a very bizarre place to have a incident, as Bengal and Pookie are into the pits, as is Gruffle. Swapping hard tyres for mediums. Oh, and a new front wing for Pookie as well. Bengal switching hard mediums for hards, Pookie doing the opposite. Gruffle gonna switch his softs for hards. But Brains is coming in as well. TomTom, meanwhile, did get back ahead of Adrian, but that's not gonna last, because look how much speed Adrian has on the run towards Maggots and Beckett. And now going through those corners, very famous section of the Silverstone circuit. It's only a matter of time before Adrian retakes the position. Meanwhile, Jordan has this front row seat to the action, but he doesn't want a front row seat. He wants to be in the action, and he's just watching these two swapping positions every lap or so. It's going to be decided in the pit lane, I reckon. The pit stops. Who is going to pit first? Well, these hard tyres can go quite a few laps. TomTom seems to have a little bit more grip through Abbey. He's not going to go for a dive bomb now. He could have done if he wanted to. He would have had the detection point. There's another yellow flag. It's not Gladius, it's the other one. If there is another Alpine, where is the other one? No, the other one is out, so it's going to be Caster, I think, who's had an incident. Yes, indeed. Or maybe it was Sobron again. Sobron seems to be struggling quite a bit. Meanwhile, Caster having to recover from his earlier drive-through penalty up into 10th again as Montreal picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Oh dear. Clearly this guy doesn't quite know how to drive that well. I'm sure he's doing his best. But sometimes your best isn't good enough if you're just average. I would know. I've been there. You think you're so hot, you think you're hot stuff when you're playing single player, and then the moment you get into multiplayer and your ultra fast setup and way of driving in single player suddenly feels like nothing. It's the slowest on track or something. And you're lucky to pick up points. Fusion looking to grab that final point if he can. Meanwhile, Mr. Mouse into the pits, as is Sherlock for new tyres. These three not coming in just yet, nor have any of the three leaders, who are still locked in battle. Adrian, about 4/10 ahead of TomTom. But that gap fell a little bit through Cops. It's growing again. These three completely untouchable. Let's look at the telemetry, because look at the amount of energy that Jordan has. He's just letting these people in front, carrying them along, as I think Sobron has had another spin. He's been carried along. He's only using... well, he's not really using any of his energy. It's only the default energy deployment that's being used. Meanwhile, TomTom actually has a fair amount of energy himself. So does Adrian. So these drivers not pushing. They're only really relying on their DRS to get the overtaking done. Adrian's been using a bit of his energy to defend, I would imagine. But other than that, these three are waiting for the pit stops. Gladius into the pits. 4th place feels like a world behind. Currently 18 seconds. Another spin for Sobron. At this rate, I would just retire, because things are definitely not going your way. So if it was me, I would just pull into the pits and call it quits. That rhyme was not intended. But it worked, didn't it? So Gladius has come out just ahead of Mr. Mouse. This is really close between these two. Mr. Mouse made the pit stop 1 lap earlier, and it's paid off dividends. His tyres warmed up quite nicely, and using a bit of his energy to make the move on the Alpine. Despite the fact that Gladius used his energy to defend, it hasn't quite worked out. About half the field still needs to make a pit stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, in fact, exactly half of the field remaining has to make a pit stop. Not including these two drivers. Gladius picks up his DRS. Tries to close the gap on the Alfa Romeo, and look at the rate of closure. Wasn't enough. Cars in front now pitting. Sork and Reese elevated into the points by way of the people in front of them pitting. So they will be passed by about 5, maybe 6 cars. Pookie is going to be one of them, I imagine. He's lost a lot of pace. He was fighting with Angel. Angel, meanwhile, is in 4th. He's stayed out for quite a while. Of course, Pookie has already made a pit stop, actually. Oh, I think there's been a collision. Potentially. Or, yeah, Caster going slowly. There's some dirt on his car. Is there damage? I can't tell with the camera angle right now. Got spun around, potentially. He's having a bit of a battle with Reese. Doesn't look like there's any damage to his car. Sobron makes a pit stop now. And one of the Aston Martins. And Aston Martin. It's TomTom into the pits. So the first of the leading trio has called it. Pulled the plug? I can't remember the proper saying. But this is going to invite the others to make their pit stops on the next lap. And now it's up to TomTom to get a lightning quick out lap. And for these two to get a lightning quick in lap if they can. Jordan with the DRS is going to try and go for it up the inside of Brooklands if he can. Doesn't quite have the grip as Gladius puts in the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. 1:29.1. Need to wet the whistle. I'm going to do that quickly. Got enough time. My once cold Pepsi is now dripping with condensation. I hate it when it does that. Yellow flag in sector 1. Is that retirement? Surtees has retired in the pit lane. As Caster comes in for a pit stop as well now. So 3 drivers have not yet made pit stops, where Caster has just made a stop. So Jordan and Adrian coming into the pits together. They're both defending from TomTom. It's not the right word, but TomTom coming through Beckett's now onto the hangar straight. He's got 27 seconds last time the thing updated. Can we get it to update properly? Apparently he's still 27 seconds behind. That's not proper. It's because they're in the pit lane. It kind of messes things up completely. But he's coming through Vale and Farm, or whatever it's called now. Can he do it? He's put in a purple final sector. He is going to take P1. What is the margin like? It's incredible. And Jordan ahead of Adrian. So now Adrian is in the position that Jordan was in all this time, and now he's going to be finding it very difficult to get past. Except that TomTom put in that lightning quick out lap. And he's gained 2 seconds on the drivers behind. So that gap is closing. 1.8, 1.7. It's incredible pace already. These drivers pushing to catch up and make sure that... Well, Jordan trying to make sure that Adrian doesn't get back past. So everyone's made a pit stop now as Sork has just got past Pookie. Let's find the right details. Soft tyres for Jordan. That's why he's got so much pace. But those soft tyres, I can only imagine, will not last particularly long. Yeah, Sork made the move on Pookie down the Wellington Straight. Bengal, meanwhile, right behind Level Fusion. There's been a spin for an AlphaTauri. I believe that would be Montreal. as Bengal sails past level Fusion. TomTom puts in the fastest lap, 1:28.3. But I wonder how quickly is that going to fall. I reckon the next lap Jordan's going to get a pretty decent time on the board. Meanwhile, Gladius still fighting with Mr. Mouse. He finds himself behind. There's been a crash for Angel, I think. What's gone on there? Massive crash! Safety car! Pookie has been collected. Didn't see exactly what happened, but Angel and Pookie, they had been fighting earlier, and now they've come together on the pit straight. Pookie's lost his front wing, and certainly going to get investigated. And this is breathing room for the top three, with 8 or so laps of the race remaining. Brains comes into the pits, might as well bolt on some fresh, soft tyres. Montreal way down, as is Sobron. They're so far back, they haven't even got past Angel. In fact, Sobron was so far back, he'd almost been lapped by Surtees, and has only recently just retaken 17th from Surtees, who retired a lap or two ago. So, yeah, not going so well for some of these drivers. Pit stops for Mr. Mouse and Gladius. Oh, Gladius picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Bengal comes into the pits as well. When did he make his last pit stop? Let's see the tyres. 7 laps or so ago. Fusion into the pits as well. Reese and Sork are going to stay out. Sherlock stays out. Pookie has to come in with that broken front wing. And Groffle coming in as well. Oh, new front wing for Fusion as well. Groffle might potentially lose a position to Caster here. Potentially. Oh, and I think Groffle has jumped Pookie in the pits! Oh dear. Oh dear indeed. And Caster might take the pair of them. Yes, indeed he is. So Caster, one position outside the points, but on his 3-lap-old medium tyres, his pace isn't going to be the greatest. Sherlock is going to be one of the slowest drivers, I would imagine. On 6-lap-old hard tyres, he's going to be quite sluggish indeed. Testing. Yeah, audio's fine, it's just that no one's bothering to use the chat, which, that's fine, I guess. 9 people watching, no one's chatting. Maybe they're just listening to me in the background whilst they're racing. I don't feel like my commentary's really been on point this weekend, but I have had a week or so off, so need to get back into the swing of things. So we're going to be waiting a fair while for things to get back underway. We're going to have to wait for Brains to catch up to the back of the pack, because Montreal and Sobron GT have been lapped. And they're stuck in the middle of the safety car train. I think the safety car might let them go now. I think that has been implemented into the game, but I don't remember. It might let them pass. Certainly in previous titles, it didn't. And as soon as racing would get back underway, you get a blue flag, and you'd have to let the entire field past. Phase Hunderfar is able to chat. He's just watching. At least I know there are indeed some people watching. So, Brains might catch up on this lap. Might get a very late end to the safety car if he can catch up. I don't think so, though. We might get another lap of safety car running here. Potentially. Brains exiting Beckett onto the hangar straight. Yeah, we've got to wait a bit longer. I had this sort of situation once before on F1 2018 where the safety car got called in just as it passed the pit entry, and so it went zooming off into the distance, but the entire field was left going at like 10 miles an hour or whatever. And so by the time the safety car was finally into the pit lane and racing could get back underway, we were at Maggots and Beckett's, and my tyres were ice cold. And that was before, yeah, that was before you could turn off carcass temperatures. So when I say my tyres were ice cold, like the carcass was 80 degrees, or maybe even 60, I don't know. It was cold, okay? As Caster has made another pit stop, he's decided to put on some fresh, soft tyres. Which means we're going to have to wait potentially even longer. You got to catch up to the field, mate. Push like your life depends on it. We don't want another lap of safety car running here. So TomTom will lead the field away on 5-lap-old mediums. That could be a disadvantage. We're going to turn off the telemetry. Positional changes, I forgot about that. Oh, look out, Reese! Up 12 positions, but his tyres, 6-lap-old mediums, so he's going to lose positions, I would imagine, to Mr. Mouse and Gladius. Of course, Reese and Sork did not pit when the safety car came out. They stayed out, hoping for track position to help them out. But the soft runners behind are going to be mighty fast. So it's just a matter of time now. The safety car's coming in. Cars are weaving. Keep trying to get some temperature into that rubber. I reckon Sherlock is going to fall like a stone because he's on the oldest, hardest tyres of the bunch as TomTom goes for it. Catches Jordan a little off guard, maybe. DRS will... Racing gets back underway on lap 22. 24. So DRS should be re-enabled on lap 24, if I'm not mistaken. And the top three already dropped the rest of the field by 3.4 seconds. That's incredible. Mr. Mouse getting past Reese. Yeah, the back markers. Oh no, the back markers are getting in the way. This is why you let the back markers past, you stupid game. Level Fusion's lost out. There's a car in the background gone around. I think that's Bengal. It's all gone wrong for the Ferrari Giro. Mr. Mouse in P4, 4.2 seconds clear of Adrian now. This could be a surprise victory from Jordan, who, due to jumping Adrian earlier, before the safety car, in fact before the previous safety car, something, he's able to potentially take P1 from TomTom here, and because they've both got full batteries, and because Jordan's on the softer rubber, I would imagine the McLaren could be pretty speedy here. There's been another spin, I think that's Montreal, or maybe it's not a spin and he's just letting the faster cars through. No DRS until lap 24.
Jordan trying to go for it at the inside of Vale. He has the grip, but he didn't quite have the brakes.
It's getting mighty close. Adrian has the fastest car though, 1:28.0. And these three locked together in perpetual battle. Well, perpetual until the end of the race. They were locked in battle.
Until the race ended, and then they weren't locked in battle anymore. But yeah, it's getting very close between these three. This is where the action's at. Meanwhile, the drivers who stayed out on their old tyres, Reese and Sorks have fallen to 6th and 7th, whilst Sherlock has fallen outside of the points. He has really struggled on those tyres. Caster trying to get into P10, trying to nick a point from Fusion, but it's not happening at the minute. Pookie in P8. However, there are penalties for Gladius and Pookie. Gladius did get that 5-second penalty for speeding in the pits. Pookie has a 3-second penalty, so neither of those drivers are going to hold on to their current positions unless they can gain 5 and 3 seconds respectively. Meanwhile, these three, look at the train they've got. Jordan going to go up the inside of Stowe. Pardon me. Adrian now trying to make the move on TomTom, and suddenly TomTom's in P3. It's all changed in the space of 2 corners.
And suddenly TomTom, oh, we've lost Groffle. He's had a crash with Caster on the exit of Stowe. Caster's lost his front wing. That's his chances of points gone down the drain.
So TomTom, who was constantly a threat for P1,
it now finds himself in P3.
It's all gone wrong. Jordan could take a point. What's it called? The P1 here, the win.
TomTom trying to go up the inside of Brooklands on Adrian now. It turns into the outside. It's not going to quite work. You can feel the desperation now, as there's only 2 laps or so left. 2.5 laps. That's not a lot of time for these drivers to make their positions stick. Jordan has been biding his time the entire race and bolting on those soft tyres at the safety car, or virtual safety car, whichever one it was. That was a stroke of genius, because the extra grip that has afforded him has given him P1, but it doesn't seem he has the straight line speed. Meanwhile, Gladius has sailed past Mr. Mouse, taking P4 on the road. He's not going to keep that, but he might still stay ahead of Pookie, who's just got past Reese. However, now that Pookie's ahead of Reese, that he's going to be unleashed himself, he's going to start closing the gap. Currently 5.9 seconds. Gladius might still at least take P5 here. Penultimate lap now, as Sherlock has come into the pits. He realizes that those old tyres were not the right way to go. Picks up a penalty for his troubles for speeding in the pit lane. He's going to try and take fastest lap here, I think. Adrian now could still retake pole P1, the lead of the race from Jordan here. DRS zone down the hangar straight, fast approaching. They've only got Maggots and Beckett's ahead of them right now. Through the corners they go, sweeping left, right, left. DRS for the Red Bull now. It's not a huge amount of energy for either of these 3 drivers now. In fact, Adrian waiting. He's biding his time. That's allowing TomTom to catch up with his DRS. Adrian's waiting for the final lap to make the move, which is very cheeky. Meanwhile, TomTom has got Vale slightly wrong. He's losing some time. Gladius and Mr. Mouse still fighting tooth and nail. It's not gonna matter, as Pookie is within 4.5 seconds of Mr. Mouse. So, sadly for Gladius, he's not even gonna get P5 now, and if he's unlucky enough, he might even not get P6.
because Fusion's pretty close behind to Pookie too, as there's been another spin for Montreal. Meanwhile, the top three still locked together. TomTom having to back out of that potential overtaking opportunity. Adrian trying to go up the inside of Vale. I don't remember the corners anymore. Through Woodcut, TomTom dumping his energy, getting too close for comfort on the entrance into Cops. Adrian gonna try and go for it. We've got really bad camera angles on the leaders. We're gonna have to stick with, well, we were gonna stick with TomTom, but not good enough. Final lap, the final DRS zone. Adrian has the energy. He's using the DRS. He's going to take the position through the outside again. Oh no, it's all gone wrong for Adrian. Contact is made. Can TomTom make the dive bomb into Vale? No, he cannot. Jordan is going to take P1 on the road, but with that collision, he could potentially lose it. Victory for Jordan at least. For now, TomTom will take P2. Adrian, it's going to be P3 for Mr. Mouse. Adrian takes P4. Fusion takes P5. Gladys will take P6 because I forgot about Pookie's penalty. Reese P7. He held on with the old tyres. Pookie will take P8. Sort P9. And Brains, reserve driver, takes a solitary point for Aston Martin. And the remaining four drivers, Bengal, Sherlock, Montreal, and Sobron GT. Outside the points, Sherlock, I don't think is even going to get the fastest lap here. Adrian has the fastest lap so far. Can Sherlock nick it on his soft tyres? No, he cannot. 129.1 is the best he can do. And Sobron GG lost his front wing in the final lap. It's kind of typical, isn't it? So, Caster apparently driver of the day. I didn't see where he finished. Well, maybe I did, I just completely forgot. So, Jordan has won the race, but it's anyone's guess as to if he's going to keep that or not. That final lap collision is almost certainly going to be investigated, but that's not going to it's not going to be a very quick thing. We'll not find out for a little while. We had a lot of chat activity in the last few laps. Can you please see on Adrian skids I caused an incident? Highlighting the message to only look at Adrian. Excuse me, there are other drivers. And besides, highlighting the message isn't going to help too much because I'm the only person who's actually looking at the screen. And of course, the chat is on my phone, which isn't... I have to look away from the screen in order to do that. So yeah, fastest lap point, which is a sort of consolation prize for Adrian. We'll see how things pan out for Jordan. If he does lose that win, that is going to be TomTom extending his lead in the championship even more. Adrian got knocked out, and there's people going "Nay" in the chat. Nay, nay, it's Swedish or something. Oh dear. But there we go. That is the race concluded. We shall have to see how things pan out for FIA. That is not going to happen immediately, sadly. Stop doubting yourself. This was the best stream ever, apparently.
I didn't fuel it. But yeah, there we go. There we go, indeed. Thank you for watching, everyone. And we shall see you... well, we won't see me next week, at the very least. Because I'm not going to be here. But maybe the week after. And maybe someone can stream in my stead next week. We shall see. And maybe, who knows, maybe week after next, I'll have my brand new PC. But, well, time will tell. In the meantime, though, thank you for watching, everyone. And until next time, thank you. Have a good one. And good night.
We'll be right back.